Buying a car in Carvana was so easy. I was able to finance it through them.
Whoa, wait, you mean finance?
Yeah, finance. Got pre-qualified for a Carvana auto loan, entered my terms, and shot from thousands of great car options all within my budget.
That's cool, but financing through Carvana was so easy.
Financed. Done. And I get to pick up my car from their Carvana vending machine tomorrow.
Financed.
Right, that's what I said.
You can spend time trying to pronounce financing, or you can actually finance and buy your car today on
Carvana.
Financing subject to credit approval. Additional terms and conditions may apply.
This is the story of the one. As a custodial supervisor at a high school, he knows that during cold and flu season, germs spread fast. It's why he partners with Grainger to stay fully stocked on the products and supplies he needs, from tissues to disinfectants to floor scrubbers. All so that he can help students, staff, and teachers stay healthy and focused. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondercide comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed. Lab-proven to work fast. And proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wondercide's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wondercide.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wondercide.com. Wondercide. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wondercide today.
Welcome to the Shabby Detective, yet another Columbo podcast. I'm your host, Mike White. Joining me, of course, is Mr. Chris Dashew.
Just one more thing. I feel almost personally attacked by this episode of Columbo in a very unique way that I'll be breaking down as we talk about it, because almost from minute one, this episode feels like a personal attack on me in particular, and maybe anyone who's ever enjoyed, in air quotations, The Prisoner.
We are talking about Identity Crisis. It is the third episode of the fifth season, written by William Driscoll. Whole lot of Patrick McGoohan in this episode. He directed it. He stars as Nelson Brenner. We've also got the return of Leslie Nielsen. Apparently he figured out what a dud Susan Clark was after she went to jail, and he decided to become a secret agent. And now he's back, and this is a very unusual episode of all about subterfuge and the CIA and all this stuff. Originally dropped on November 2nd, 1975. This is a 93-minute episode, and you can tell there's a lot of padding in this, but I will let the cat out of the bag. I like the padding stuff even more than I like the actual episode itself, because the whole thing of the spy stuff, I don't give a shit about any of that.
I'll go one step further. I don't give a fuck about any of it, because it is John Le Carré. It is not good. More like John Le Dumme. Am I right? Am I right, folks? That's a dad joke. I was not disappointed because, again, like you buried the lead last time, and that this was a lesser episode of the show in a lot of ways, especially by the approximation of the fan base of the show. Patrick McGoohan and Leslie Nielsen walking around is not as interesting as I think they thought it was. And then the setting of the episode overall also not as interesting as they thought it was, is what it feels like. I wish that there was more of the CIA stuff, but again, to your point, given how poorly done it is, I'm glad that there wasn't, because I'm not sure more of arguably what is the worst part of the episode would have been better. But I feel like if they had taken more swings, they might have actually landed something to do with the spy stuff. It's almost like they keep giving up right when they get going with it. And it's like, either commit or don't, but don't half-ass it. Because this feels very much like we want to do a spy thing in the world of Columbo, and we're just not sure if those two worlds mix. And to your point, I'm not sure that per this episode's execution, they do mix.
Last time we were talking about diplomatic immunity and that we had to get around that. This one kind of the same thing as far as you're dealing with much larger forces than the LAPD
right.
should really be responsible
the
for.
CIA.
You're out of your bailiwick, yes. And I am so glad that doing these episodes of The Shabby Detective allow me to really sit down and read a lot about these particular episodes of Columbo. And I'm so glad that I was able to, because I think it's the first time I ever could actually figure out what the hell was going on in this episode, because I never understood why Patrick McGoohan shows up at one point with the big fake nose and the wig and the hat. And yeah, Steinmetz. I never got that.
He doesn't exist. He hasn't existed the whole time.
None of these guys exist.
Right.
All these names are fake. And I'm like, I love Roger Thornhill and George Kaplan and all those kind of things with North by Northwest. But this with Geronimo and all, I'm like, I could not care at all if you paid me. If you paid me to pay attention to this episode, it is tough, man.
Yeah, it's a real drag, and I mean that literally. It drags a lot. And what's funny is, to your point, the parts of the episode that are more interesting are the parts that effectively have nothing to do with the spy stuff, quote unquote. Or again, like the Patrick McGoohan spy stuff. And look, I get it. And let's just get it out of the way here. Yes, Patrick McGoohan was from The Prisoner, which is a spy TV show. I would say it's one of the still preeminent spy TV shows of a certain time. It definitely influenced a lot of things post it. It had a remake it had a comic book. It's well regarded by the fans, even though, my God, the ending of that show is one of the worst endings I've ever seen of a TV show. You and I talked about it, I think, privately. Like, The Prisoner's not great. No matter how good Patrick McGoohan is, he can't save how bad that show becomes. And I'm not sure I wanted to watch an episode of Columbo that reminds me of how bad The Prisoner is, almost from the get-go, because he says, "Be seeing you on the phone." That's like how he ends his first monologue to Leslie Nielsen.
And yeah, I think he says it again within a few minutes.
Yes.
It's like, oh my God.
It's like, does Arnold Schwarzenegger have to say, "I'll be back" in every movie he's in now? How do we characterize and explain it? If the Barbarian says, "I'll be back," is it always Arnold then? Is he just off screen waiting in the wings? I don't know why you would do it other than just like a wink and a nod. But again, a wink and a nod to a thing that wasn't exactly lighting up the set-top boxes across the nation. The Prisoner is good, but The Prisoner also is, I think, more important now than it maybe was when it came out. At least that's the read I've gotten of it in the subsequent years since working on the one season show and talking about it.
And McGoohan, his influence carries over not just from his performance, but since he is the director, he seems to have a lot of influence on Falk as well, because Falk is not necessarily being Columbo in this episode. The very first time we see him, and I do like this opening shot, like we cut from McGoohan about to brain Leslie Nielsen with a tire iron, and then cut, and we have walking, and you can see the smoke from a cigar, and he's lit from behind by these lights from a police truck of some sort that probably patrols the beach. Very stylized, but then once he shows up, he's just crazy kookaboo. He's just looking around and asks everybody to leave, and then the way that he's down on the ground and everything, I'm just like, okay, but at the same time, it's not. And I'm like, don't you have more of a hold on this character that you could, I don't know if he just didn't want to fight against McGoohan or if he's just having such a good time with me. So, yeah, you know what? I'll try it. He's just doing all kinds of stuff.
I would err on the latter side, because Patrick McGoohan and Falk were friends. We've talked about that before. I would err on the side of that. I think it's one of those things where it's, well, let's do something different. I just don't think it works very well, because unfortunately, the show's not called Murder, She Wrote. The show's called Columbo. It's about him. Like, Murder, She Wrote, there are episodes of Murder, She Wrote that do not have Angela Lansbury in them. Like, where it's like, this is an adventure that they were having off on the other coast. It's, wait, what the fuck? I had never seen that. My girlfriend and I were sitting and watching Murder, She Wrote the other night, and I was asleep I was awake a little longer than she was, and one of those episodes came on. I was like, wait a second, she's not even in this episode? Shit. This is not Murder, She Wrote. It's something else. And again, but it's that spin-offitization of things that the 70s was so popular with television. But here I don't understand why Columbo becomes like this bumbling dummy in this episode and plays atypical, other than Patrick McGoohan going, let's do something different for the hell of it. And it's like, but why? This is working. Like, this is a well-oiled machine for the most part. Stop gunking it up with your bullshit.
And why is Columbo suddenly this weird lascivious guy who's just ogling that poor belly dancer? It's like, what?
Know.
Pay attention to your job. Like, you got Val Avery here, ready to talk about his old days of being a cop, and I'm sure he was a shit cop with the way that he's running this bar now and everything. And my wife didn't like how the hours I kept. Now I'm here every day till 2:00 running this bar. And I'm like, okay, like this guy's somewhat interesting. Sitting right there with Bruce Kirby. I'm like, yeah, these are all the classics. We have Vito Scotti's in this episode as well. It's
I
like,
love hearing you say his
guys.
name every time. I'm like, Mike's going to say his name. If he's in the credits, Mike's going to say it. He's great. And we get a lot of the regulars, but they're just like, the version of Columbo they're interacting with is not the version of Columbo that I want in this episode. Is the biggest problem for you, the way Columbo acts in this episode? Because I think for me, it may be, in fact, the biggest issue is just you can't take a character who 5th season, 3rd episode. We are into a third of the way into this show. What are we doing here? We're not going to change it up all of a sudden. We're not going to learn how to throw a knuckleball in the 9th inning. Stop it. This needed to be the way the character was from the get-go, not a game time decision because we think that this episode can stand it. Did they want Patrick McGoohan to be the main character of the episode? Is that what the deal is? It also feels like that. Like he's a little bit of the main character. It almost feels like he's justified in killing Leslie Nielsen in a lot of ways. Leslie Nielsen's not... We've had this before with Columbo where the people getting got are not necessarily great people on their own. And Leslie Nielsen, great example of that. A shithead. Like a shithead in his own right. But the episode almost feels like it's justifying his death by the way he's characterized. And that's a very weird thing for Columbo to do because Columbo rarely does that, if it does that at all.
Why would you say that Leslie Nielsen is a shithead?
Just the way he's dressed, the way that he acts. In my mind, between Leslie Nielsen and Patrick McGoohan seems almost justified in killing Leslie Nielsen because Leslie Nielsen's holding him over a barrel for the money he owes him. And Patrick McGoohan doesn't want to pay him. You know, what happens when you don't want to split the money? There's one less bank robber. The way Leslie Nielsen's dressed as well, like he's characterized very broadly as a slick guy. This is Leslie Nielsen. I'm so used to seeing Leslie Nielsen in a comedic setting on top of everything else. This is like one of 2 dramatic settings I've seen him in, but he plays villainous rather. Maybe it's just me reading him as villainous. I don't know. Maybe that wasn't your takeaway.
Yeah, I was just curious as far as how that went. And there was... At the same time, he's nice to the guy who is running the shooting gallery and the way that he's just, I don't need this big stupid panda. But then Patrick McGoohan is, yeah, sure, I'll do that. And then I'll go talk creepily to this little girl.
Hello, do you like Archibald?
Oh,
Are you
God.
sick, dude? Get out of here. Yeah.
Oh,
And McGoohan
man.
he's not doing himself any favors, but that's the thing. Like, again, the episode almost feels like it's trying to justify what he's doing because, again, CIA. And, like, this guy he's going rogue because he's expecting to uphold his end of the bargain. I don't know if they could have done this without involving it as a spy thing. I think it would have been better without the spy overtones because, again, they just don't do enough. But I don't think that's the real issue with this episode for me. I do think the issue is just the characterization of Columbo very much is atypical. And if Peter Falk wanted to play Columbo differently, maybe just go guest star on something and play a detective. Like
The scenes that he's in without McGoohan and the scenes that McGoohan are not in are relatively decent. Like when he's talking with the redheaded photographer and trying to put together the larger picture of things. When I'm trying to remember, he says to somebody like, I'm about to show you some pictures of a murdered person. Please don't panic type of thing. I'm like, okay, that's good. I like this Columbo that I'm seeing here, but whenever he's on screen with McGoohan, and when McGoohan's on screen, it's just like, oh, enough, please.
They're being like physical comedy, like ding dongs, like Peter Falk jumping into McGoohan's car and like leaning all the way over. Like, what in the hell is going on? It feels like they're just having a good time, which is fine, but do not compromise the quality of the product because you want to have a good time with your friends. Because we sit here and do this all the time, and we try not to compromise the quality of what we're doing because we digress too much. It feels like just almost a episode-long digression. What would Columbo be like if he was more of an idiot? Like this, I guess. Okay.
And some of those deliveries that McGoohan gives where it's like, did you hear the chimes? Did you count them?
They're having a good time. They're enjoying themselves way too much. They're mugging. Columbo takes his trench coat off. When does that happen?
I know. And it's not because he's wearing a gun holster on his shoulder either.
The butler comes and takes it. And he's like, all right. He doesn't look so shabby in this episode. This is a shabby-less detective. Is it supposed to be funny? Is it supposed to be like comical, comedic? Like, if it is, it's not a success.
No. I love the scene of him and Vito Scotti where they're talking and they actually start talking Italian and everything. I'm like, oh, this is really nice. I enjoy seeing the guy that played Larry Tate from Bewitched show up as the CIA main guy. That's so weird too when they're meeting at that train, I think it is, and all those people are waiting outside. Can we get on this ride? I'm like, this is the worst meeting place that you guys could possibly pick because you have all of these civilians outside.
Yeah, somebody had a real bad idea. Like, this will draw attention to us, said no one ever.
Yeah, it's just so strange. Like, why would you do this?
I also like the idea of someone being, like, next to Patrick McGoohan, who has seen him before, and going, I don't recognize him anymore because he has a mustache and some glasses on. Come on.
Yeah,
the bald page moved back a little bit, I see. It's a bit of a fucking stretch, Columbo. Like,
it's just the worst type of photo doctoring in the world. There's no excuse for that in movies these days, but I still see shitty photographs like that where it's, oh, here's me as a younger man. And it's either take a photo from something else that you were in, but some of the ones that they even have now where it's just like, that doesn't look like you, or that's like the worst job of pasting two celebrities together to be like, oh, here's my friend Nicolas Cage over here. I was like, no, guys, take a photo together and then, I don't know, de-age it or something. But the way they paste things in is just nasty. And this photo here is one of the worst jobs I've ever seen.
Is it as bad as the one in Captain America Brave New World with Harrison Ford and Liv Tyler? Because that one's pretty bad.
That was pretty bad
that's
as well.
MCU. Like, to
that's
your point,
2025.
I know. It's true. It's truly shocking that we could still get to the 21st century and like faked photography looks. Because again, it's the idea of we're just going to be on screen for like a second, and that second will not get remembered. But it's like it will, just for the wrong reasons. And on top of everything else, to your point, this is not just a second. This is, oh, we're coming back to it, and we're coming back. Oh my God, stop coming back to it. Stop going back to it at this point. Like, for the love of God. It's like how Joss Whedon had that mustache on Superman.
Oh, God.
It's like, we're trying to cover up the mouth, and by doing that, you drew more attention to it. Like,
exactly.
It's the Barbra Streisand effect, right? Like, you can't undo the attention that these things are getting. And yeah, having it on screen and just stop. No, please. Stop. This looks goofy. And what am I supposed to do? Not laugh? Like, again, it's unintentionally comedic is what it feels like. And this is not an unintentionally comedic show. When the show is comedic, it has intent behind it.
If the CIA or FBI could do such a good job of doctoring that photograph of Lee Harvey Oswald to have that newspaper and the gun, but then screw up the shadow, and we're going to see an episode where there's a shadow under somebody's nose that gives away the entire crime.
Oh,
that's
dear.
Like a few years from now, but even that was better than what we're seeing here, where it's, here's this horrible photo with this pasted on Patrick McGoohan face, and then, we're going to keep going back to it, and then we're going to get, here he is with the old man makeup on. I'm like, oh gosh, this is so nasty.
And the old man makeup, dear God in heaven, plasticine, just like when he's meeting with Otis Young, it's just like, dear God, like he would recognize him. Like he's just a guy with a bald cap and a mustache. Sounds like Patrick McGoohan. And again, we go back to, not to jump all the way to the end, but we go back to that. Speaking of with putting on disguises, there were more believable disguises in the Charlie's Angels movies than this. The way that this episode plays out and the how catch 'em of it all. Wow. This feels like one we've seen before.
It's totally one we've seen before. This is Robert Culp with that anniversary
That's
clock.
what I thought.
Yeah. But then at the same time, that's when they give us the double twist, because first off, we hear the opening or closing of the blinds. So we don't know when.
Right.
But then Columbo's, hey, it's 6 o'clock in the morning. The sun hits your desk. And then McGoohan cuts him off, basically. And it's just like, you hear the chime.
Best part of the entire episode.
Somebody actually made a song of that. I'm going to put that at the end of this
Hell
episode.
yeah.
It's pretty amazing. So you hear the chimes, and then it's the whole thing about the Chinese pulling out of the Olympics, that he had to put that in the speech. So it's like, oh, it's not exactly the Robert Culp thing with the, what was that? Like the ding dong ice cream or whatever?
Yeah, it was something to that effect. Something about the ice cream melting.
Yeah, or the no chlorine in that fresh water
That's
from
right.
the ice. Yeah. Oof, jeez.
Good Lord. Look, we talked about like technology and Columbo, right? Plenty of times. And here it is once again, technology being used to catch the criminal. I don't think this would hold up in court.
I don't think so either.
I really don't. Like, and that's, again, that's like the modernization in me of poke holes in it, cinema sins. But the law hasn't changed that much in this long for this to not seem like circumstantial evidence. And we all know this guy working for the CIA, they're just going to be like, he didn't do anything. I saw American Made with Tom Cruise. They get people out of jail all the time by just showing up, flashing their badge. He's not going to be in jail for very long. He's a CIA asset. What the fuck? Give me a break. It's almost the inverse of the last episode, right? Where the last episode's like diplomatic immunity. This is like diplomatic idiocy. Like, this is just stupid. This is idiotic to me because this guy's not going to be in prison. He's not going to stay in jail. The U.S. government's going to bail him out. If he's this valuable of an asset, why wouldn't they? They have no reason not to.
Exactly. And this whole season so far, because the first one was Forgotten Lady, where he doesn't arrest Janet Leigh for that. And
Right.
then, yeah, it's only under threat of being cut up into little Khashoggi-sized pieces that gets Hector Elizondo to do a full confession. But yeah, it's just bizarre. Then yeah, because there is no recompense for this guy at all. I don't believe that he's going to have anything happen other than just a little hand slap.
No, yeah. And that's, again, like the episode is set up that way. Look at how important this operative is, and look at how important this other operative is. These two guys have been doing this for a while, and there's nothing that's going to stop them other than one another, which is what ends up happening. But within that world, the only people that can do anything about one another, coincidentally, as we get ready to record an episode of a mafia-themed show that we're doing, the real people that can only do anything about spies within the world of spies are other spies. And that's why we have Patrick McGoohan killing Leslie Nielsen. Ultimately that ends up being how he gets handled is by the other spy. The cops, i.e. Columbo in this situation, are too out of their depth to be useful. It's absurd, frankly.
And by the way, I don't know what language McGoohan is supposed to be speaking to those Asian people, but it just sounded totally made up to me. His two butlers, I guess they are.
Manservants.
And I'm like, are you supposed to be trying to speak Chinese? Because that doesn't look like any or sound like any Chinese I've ever heard
Is he speaking
before.
Tagalog?
Maybe.
Filipino?
It just was like, I was like, I think you're just making up stuff. Oh, yeah.
It's like Wesley Snipes in Demolition, man.
It's what almost got Stephen Colbert canceled all those years ago.
Wait, is that for real? I didn't know that.
Yeah. He was making fun of something and he was just like, something, the ching chong.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember that now.
You remember that?
Nothing will be as funny, and again, like funny is subjective, as the fake Asian names of those airline pilots that the plane like crashed on the tarmac in San Francisco. Some Ting Wong, Bang Ding Ow, Holy Fook, and We Too Low. See, that's the kind of stupidity I can get behind only because they got somebody to say it out loud. Yes, I can acknowledge it's pretty un-PC, but yeah, no shit. Again, Patrick McGoohan doing a fake Asian accent in a filmed show that's put out that's on Peacock TV right now is a little bit different because it did sound, again, maybe he was just, they're colonizers, right? The British, they don't fucking care. Fuck it, who cares? They just blah, blah, blah. All right, yeah, they believed it. Who cares?
Yeah, sure. I just shanghaied them and pulled them over from Hong Kong.
Yeah, McGoohan just like, it's fine. Nobody cares.
No,
let's get to the Peter
not
Falk
at all.
stuff. Is this the last time that McGoohan comes back?
Oh, no.
Oh,
He's
dear.
in here quite a few more times.
Oh, dear.
Yes.
I am not enjoying this second iteration of him.
No, much better in the first, right?
Oh, yeah, night and day difference.
Yeah. I don't know if they let him run as rampant in some of those other ones. I'm pretty sure he's in 2 more. I want to say for sure one of the ABC years. So it comes back all those years later. I want to say maybe one more during this original run, but I could be wrong.
The ABC years.
Yes. So post season, what is that? Season 7?
I think
Season
so.
8?
That's right. We're halfway there already, so.
I know. We're going to be talking about George Wendt in no time.
I can't wait. Waiting for Wendt.
It's a very Samuel Beckett type of thing.
I think that spies and cops, when mixed, rarely work because the scope and scale of the things are 2 very different things. It's 2 very different worlds. Like, we talked about it in our Rankin' on Bond show, which you can find on our respective Patreons. When James Bond interacts with the local cops, like, it happens very infrequently. Like, when does it happen in James Bond if not, like, J.W. Pepper? And is that it? Is Sean Connery interacting with cops? If anything, James Bond is like on the run from the cops if he ever interacts with them because they think that spies and cops, like spies are meant to be clandestine. That's the point. That's literally the point of spies. Not meeting on a fucking train on the Santa Monica Pier. Dear God, out in the open, here's my CIA badge. Okay.
I have very bad news, which is that McGoohan actually comes back, but as just a director in the final episode of this season, which I think is probably the lowest. I don't know if the ABC years get lower than this, but Last Salute to the Commodore, I'm just putting it out there right now, probably my least favorite episode of Columbo ever.
Oh, dear God.
Yeah.
Patrick McGoohan being involved once again.
But fortunately, the next episode that we talk about, A Matter of Honor with Ricardo Montalban, which is directed by Ted Post, who's one of the most solid directors that they have working for them, I think is a lot of fun. And that one, again, only 70 minutes, clocks along very quickly. And again, it's a strange one because this whole season is a weird season, what with Columbo in the world of diplomatic immunity, in spies, and next time he's going to go down to Mexico and talk about some bullfighting.
Speaking of James Bond, Pedro Armendariz was in James Bond, and Pedro Armendariz Jr. also in James Bond, and Jr. is in the next episode. And I'm surprised Montalban was never a James Bond villain, frankly.
No, he was in Naked Gun, though, so
That's
makes
right,
sense.
yeah. But he could have been a Bond villain. Just think, he
He's so cool.
could have been opposite Roger Moore as Scaramanga. Really could have.
Oh, yeah.
Look, you got fucking Knick-Knack, you got Herb Villachez right there. Hey,
Yeah,
hey,
exactly.
baby. Neat plane.
Oh,
I'm excited.
that was nice.
I love Ricardo Montalban, and I like the idea of something to do with bullfighting, which seems very old world compared to the world of the CIA.
Yeah, hopefully you will enjoy it quite a bit. I seem to remember that one very fondly, so hopefully we'll have a fun time with that. Until we come back and talk about that, Chris, what are you working on these days?
You can find everything that you and I work on over at weirdingwaymedia.com, which is where this show and your show, The Projection Booth, and my show, The Culture Cast, and Susan Lambert's show, 80s TV Ladies, and Mark Begley's show, Cambridge End with Sean, and So many other great shows. Father Malone's Midnight Viewing can be found, and you should go find them other than at mine and Mike's respective Patreons, patreon.com/projection booth or patreon.com/culturecast, where you can find Rankin' on Bond, which we do with our friend Richard Haddam on the aforementioned James Bond. So if that's a thing that you are into, hearing us talk about spy things that don't suck for the most part, and I can't promise they're all not bad, but I think we've had a overwhelmingly good time with most of the things we've watched with the Rankin' on Bond podcast. Head on over there to check that out. That's where everything I work on can be found. And for the most part, you as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you're bored and lonely and need somebody to talk to, tough luck. You can only listen to the Projection Booth. You can't talk facts. Just go on over to weirdingmedia.com, check out the Projection Booth, and check out all those other fine shows. And until we come back next month to talk about some bullfighting, I want to thank John Walker for our beginning theme song and Colin Gallagher for our end theme song, though Colin might get preempted for that amazing Patrick McGoohan 11 Chime song. I might just throw him in after that because
got to give love to the man, you know?
Yeah, that's probably the best part of this episode is somebody making a song out of it. So until then, keep being shabby.
Why don't you play the tape, carry on from there, and you will see that, in fact, it had to be night.
Any particular section, sir?
Right on, from there. Now you listen very carefully. First of all, I'll show you the bottom of my feet. One foot still has a Cabernet stain. Did you hear that?
Yes, sir, I heard it.
You heard the chimes?
These guys did.
Did you count them?
Yes, sir, there are 11.
You heard the chimes?
I did.
Did you count them?
Yes.
You heard the chimes?
I did.
Did you count them? You heard the chimes?
I did.
Did you count them? You heard the chimes?
I did.
Did you count them?
Yes.
You heard the chimes?
I did.
Did you count them?
Yes.
You heard the chimes?
I did.
Did you count them?
Yes, sir, there are 11.
11. So it had to be 11 o'clock at night. It could not have been 11 o'clock in the morning. You can check with my secretary.
No, sir, it couldn't have been at night. Couldn't have been night.
Hello, this is Chris Haskell from They Live by Film. For those that don't know us, Adam, Zach, and I, we built a podcast over the last 2 years that's a combination of film discussion from 3 very different perspectives, as well as industry interviews with the leaders in boutique Blu-ray and 4K community. We started with Dev Crocodile, but over time we've been lucky enough to speak with Arrow Video, Severin, Mondo Macabro, Vinegar Syndrome, Radiance, Indicator, most of the OCN partner labels. It's been a blast. You can find us wherever you podcast, and also actually recently as part of Someone's Favorite Production Podcast Network. We hope to see you online.
Have you ever wanted to dive deeper into the horror movies you love? Beyond the Blood is a horror podcast for fans who want more than just surface level screams. We do deep dives into the movies that shaped us, digging into director commentaries, behind-the-scenes stories, deleted scenes, and the special features that most people skip. Each episode is a love letter to the genre. We break down how these films were made, the creative risks that paid off or didn't, and the lasting impact they've had on the genre as a whole. From 70s slashers to modern nightmares, we celebrate the craft, chaos, and characters that keep us coming back. If you're the kind of fan who rewatches movies with the commentary on, or you simply grew up in the video store horror aisle, the Beyond the Blood podcast was made for you. New episodes every single week. Subscribe, and let's dig deep. Welcome to the Beyond the Blood podcast.
Hello, filthy movie lovers. My name is Gentry Austin.
And I'm Casey Scott.
And we're the hosts of the Sin Syndicate, film podcast for something weirdos, anti-criterion bros, and Joseph Sarno aficionados. Join us semi-weekly as we peer into the adults-only theaters and sticky-floored cinemas of the golden age of sexploitation, when the morals were loose, the laws were murky, and the intercourse was all simulated. Find us now on the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.